The wrong candidate. Teaser. Exterior residential neighborhood, day. An American suburb. 2-story cookie-cutter bungalows as far as the eye can see, yet one stands out due to its bright yellow exterior. Super, Richmond, Indiana, 1986. Interior yellow house, kitchen, day. Dorothy Frith, 30s, stands in her simple kitchen in her simple dress. The house is bright, orderly, immaculate, and yet she still cleans the counters in an intense manner. A corded phone receiver tucked into her neck.
Oh, God. Paul has been so excited he hasn't been able to get to sleep all week. You think his uncle's never taken him camping?
She gives a fake smile as she listens.
Yes. I have to get him there by 5, so I'm leaving in a few. Thanks for watching for the water guy and for letting him in. I owe you one, Sally. You too. Say hi to Bart, and we'll see you Sunday at church. Bye-bye.
She hangs up the phone and pauses in front of a refrigerator covered in pictures and notes pinned under magnets. She runs her finger along a picture of her hugging a boy sitting in her lap. The boy's face is hidden, but he has his arms wrapped around her neck tight. Interior yellow house, foyer, day. Dorothy stands at the bottom of the stairs, a bag draped over her shoulder, car keys dangling in one hand, the blue hard-covered notebook in the other. One of her feet is tapping the floor.
Paul, that's 3 times now. It's time to go.
Interior Paul's bedroom, day. 10-year-old Paul Frith dangles his feet from his bed, headphones on, connected to a transistor radio. The faint hum of rock music can be heard.
Paul, do not make me come up there to get you.
He raises the volume on the radio. Finally, he stands and heads to the door. Interior yellow house, foyer, day. Paul comes to the foot of the stairs and stands in front of her. She puts out her hand. He takes the headphones off and hands her the radio, which she puts in her bag. Without making eye contact, she tucks in his shirt. Exterior Indiana highway, day. A blue station wagon barrels along with busy traffic. Interior Frith car, day. Dorothy drives, focused on the road ahead. Paul, in the back seat, stares out the window, anything but excited.
How long do I have to stay this time?
I'll pick you up Sunday night.
Paul balls his hand into a fist and punches the empty seat next to him.
Whole weekend? I have baseball tryouts for a real team this year. I can't miss that.
Dorothy keeps her eyes on the road, doesn't respond.
Mom, did you hear me? I can't miss the tryouts.
This is not a discussion.
Paul's eyes well up and his face becomes red.
You and Dad said I wouldn't have to go back there for a long time.
Dorothy stares straight ahead. Paul grimaces.
Are you listening to me?
Paul waits for a response. Any response. He gets nothing. He turns and looks out the window. He balls up his fists and silently pounds them into his knees. It takes everything in his little body not to cry. Exterior farmhouse, day. The car is parked outside. Dorothy pulls a small suitcase from the trunk and slams it closed. She opens Paul's door. As though in slow motion, he steps out, eyes on the ground. She takes his hand and leads him up the path to the house. Paul looks more nervous with each step, takes deep breaths in and out. They get to the door and it opens. There stands a tall man, ugly and unwelcoming. Dorothy hands him the suitcase and the blue notebook from her bag. Monthly log, program 221. Without looking at Paul or uttering goodbye, Dorothy walks back to her car. The tall man motions a scared Paul inside. Interior Frith car, day. Dorothy pulls the door closed and takes slow, deep breaths as though trying to keep it together. After a moment, she regains control and starts the car. As the car pulls away, she looks back at the house through the rearview mirror. Interior farmhouse, gathering area, day. Paul steps into the room and is led to a chair by the tall man. A dozen boys and girls, ages 8 to 10, sit in chairs that form a circle in the middle of the room. The back of each chair has a printed number. Paul's seat has the number 221 on it. 2 boys are crying. 1 girl bites her fingers. 2 other boys stare straight ahead. Suddenly, a lanky boy leaps out of his chair, screaming, and runs for the door.
I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Another man, this one built like a small building, quickly appears and grabs the boy by his shoulder.
861. You will stay in your chair.
The boy bites the man's hand. The man screams and slaps the boy, knocking him to the floor. The boy slaps and kicks at the man, who picks him up and pulls him into a bear hug. All the other children stare at their feet, trembling, except Paul, who, while scared, can't look away from the boy. Without thinking, Paul jumps up from his chair onto the man's back. The man tries to flick him off, but Paul won't let go. The tall man appears and yanks Paul off the other man's back and throws him violently to the floor. A male voice comes over a PA system.
Take 861 to the adjustment room and the rest to their beds. Immediately. Prep 221 for the lab.
I won't go in the room again. No.
The man drags him through a doorway and the boy's screams are cut off. Some of the other children cry and scream. Lines of adults enter and each take a child by the hand. Women take the girls, men take the boys. Through ignored pleas and cries, one by one, the children are led into their rooms. The tall man pulls Paul to his feet and drags him down a interior, darkened hallway, day. They pass a room with the number 61 on it. The door opens and a middle-aged woman steps out. Paul looks in. A small blonde girl is in a chair in the middle of the room. 2 older women stand on either side of her. The girl shows zero emotion and stares straight ahead. Her eyes lock onto Paul's. One of the women quickly closes the door. The tall man yanks Paul further down the hallway and stops at a door numbered 221. The tall man pushes Paul inside. Interior, Paul's room, continuous. The room has no windows. The only furniture is a single bed, a desk, and a chair. Paul's suitcase is on the bed. In the chair, a bald man in his 40s with a thin mustache waits patiently. This is Mr. Smith. He motions for Paul to sit on the bed.
Hello, 221.
Paul forces himself to make eye contact.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
You know better than to act out like that.
Paul continues to stare at him.
Your reasoning?
He was scared.
Mr. Smith studies Paul carefully.
And you are not.
Paul puffs up his little chest, holds his stare. Mr. Smith lets out a deep sigh and pats him on the shoulder.
This is not your fault, 221. I blame myself. I need all of you to think of me as your teacher. I will need to work harder to help you see the lessons I've mapped out for you. Over these next few years, I will help you understand the role each of you will play in purifying this planet.
Purifying? I still don't know what that means.
That is what I'll help you discover. Together we will unlock all of the potential that I will need from you to help me.
Paul looks more confused at what he's hearing.
I've dedicated my life and my family's resources to making sure that all of my numbers someday will be in a position to achieve my vision. Young minds are so easy to mold, yet so poor at understanding the possibilities to come. It's a good thing I'm the one with the plan, don't you think?
He stands, smiles, ruffles Paul's hair, and then squeezes Paul's cheeks so hard that tears seep from Paul's eyes. Mr. Smith walks out of the room and locks the door. Paul stays put on the bed. He stares ahead at the empty walls. The fearful screams and cries of the other children echo in the room. Paul closes his eyes, takes deep breaths, and soon, the growing sound of rock music builds in his mind. Paul opens his eyes, deep blue, mature beyond his years. End teaser.